Returning for a coffee break conversation today is Steve Carigon. Thanks for sitting down with us again.
Absolutely. It's always fun, Hillary.
Oh, great. I'm glad to hear it. Since we last spoke, you've stepped into a new role here at Wedgwood. Can you tell me a little bit about this new title and what you are doing?
The title is Youth Ministry Leader.
Okay.
And that is a little more than half of my job. I'm still doing PYD. Love both, but this new chaplain thing has been really fun to start something new.
Cool. So what have you started in this new role?
I have started a thing called Loved. It's on my shirt. It is Wedgwood's Youth Ministry.
Cool. So how did you land on the name Loved for this new youth ministry?
Part of I want kids around here to go to a new place, go wherever they go. And if they get involved with the church there's a youth group there, and that becomes a thing that they have experienced, something like that. But I didn't want to call it youth group because I really don't love that term.
Yeah.
It feels exclusive. Here's our group, but nobody else can. So I think it took me a couple days to land on Loved, and it came from the desire for kids around here to feel loved. I think that's an issue with I think all humans is we don't feel loved. Our own brain tells us we're not loved. We get messages that we're not good enough, all that. I want them to feel loved. But it came from the actual verse you've probably never heard of. It's John 3:16.
Oh, yes.
And it says, God so loved. And obviously the news after that is really good news. But there's more than that. God so loved that he sent his son. But also God so loved that there's trees that turn colors in the fall. There's puppies. There's people in our lives that love us. There's all sorts of gifts and wonderful things that God so loved, and therefore we get to experience them.
Oh, I love that. What does a loved gathering look like? What do you do when you guys get together for, quote, youth group?
What don't we do? We have a wonderful team of volunteers from all over Wedgwood, the agency. There's people from HR, there's activity therapists, there's assistant supervisors, there's a person from food service, there's a person in the training department. All when I asked them to be involved, they were like, we get to love kid? Yes. And
awesome.
So we have them stationed outside of the chapel with our bubble machine, which is going. Also, when the kids walk up the sidewalk, I bought yard signs. On both sides of the sidewalk, it says, you are loved, on 6 signs. And then on the way out, it's in reverse. So they come in, and it says, you are loved. And then they go out, and it says, you are loved. There's bubble machine. There's a person with raffle tickets, because every time we get together, we have a lunch raffle. So every kid gets a ticket, and then at the end of the night, before the talk, we do the raffle number. If you win, I'll bring whatever you want for lunch the next day.
Cool.
And kids really love that, but I also hate to see the look of disappointment on kids' face when they're have every number but the last one. And then they look sad, which I hate that part. I would want to get them all lunch, but eventually, hopefully we can. Then there's another volunteer team member with a basket of Charm Pops of different flavors, which they get to choose. It's a weird thing, but you say hello, high five, smile, happy you're here, and they get to choose a piece of candy. And you can hide behind, if you come in to a building, there's a bunch of people, and maybe you don't feel like interacting, you can hide behind a sucker. It gives you something to do with your hand, and it's a piece of candy. So it's good. And then they get inside, and I have volunteers that are specific high fivers and smilers, I call them. And then once you get into the chapel, there's music going. There's the big love logo on the screen, and then I have 3 different games where leaders, loved leaders, are stationed at those. They're just like carnival games, anything from tic-tac-toe to axe throwing, not actual axes. They're like Nerf axes with Velcro. And other games where kids it's a way for the love leaders to interact with the kids, but also kids, they can win candy.
Mm-hmm.
And who doesn't like winning candy?
Yeah.
And then there's a countdown, and they take their seats. They're not assigned seats, but they take these seats, and we welcome them. We play an everybody game, I like to call it, where everybody's involved. We play an upfront game where we get volunteers and bring them up front. And then we do, it has been a hit, which I'm really excited. We do a staff challenge.
Ooh.
I know, where we have 2 staff people come up and they play a game against each other.
Mm-hmm.
The first week it was like a quiz show. The second week it was Halloween joke spit take, where they filled their mouths with water, and then me and Pastor Arlen told them jokes, and they had to try to keep the water in their mouth. That was fun. But it's a way for kids to cheer for staff, for later, just a story, like back in the homes, they could be like, oh, when you did that thing, that was cool. It's just, I'm hoping it helps build relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Hillary, the raffle wizard comes out, which is Taylor, one of our assistant supervisors, in a purple wizard robe.
Ooh.
I know. And picks out a raffle ticket. Everybody does a drum roll. And then we have a rule with raffles. Not a rule, it's just how we do them, where she says one number at a time. And if you have that number, you say, woo! And if you don't, you say, oh. And then so we go through the whole numbers, and then somebody wins. They get a love t-shirt. And I ask them, what do you want for lunch tomorrow? And then they tell me. Well, they either tell me then, or I'll say, if they're not ready, I will see them afterwards. The first week, a kid won, and afterwards he came up and said, Steve, have you ever heard of Chipotle? And I was like, yes, I have. I have. And he said, I want a burrito. And I was like, great, let's get some specifics. What kind? And we went through the whole thing. And then afterwards, he paused and said, can I get a Sprite?
Oh.
And I said, yes, you can get a Sprite. So, and then after that, I give a talk, or somebody else gives a talk. So far, we've had 2. I've given both the talks, and they're 12 to 15 minutes long. And then I started this thing the first week, and they totally got it last time we did it, and they did it, which was really cool. Is after the talk, I will say, and remember that you are, I'll say you are, and they all say loved. Mm-hmm. And then they say we are, and then I say loved, and then we all say together, I am loved.
That's awesome.
Which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do the Lord's Prayer that they wrote. We do that all together and dismiss. Although last week we talked about the story of the lost sons, and that the theme was we are all invited to the party. Mm-hmm. And so we did the story, and then did the I love, you love, we love thing, and then did Lord's Prayer. And I was like, we're missing one thing. What is something that we usually do? People usually do at a party. And someone said dance. Exactly. And then I had a dance video on it. Everybody got up and we had a dance party.
That's awesome.
It was super fun. And I didn't see this, but rumor has it that Dan Gowdy, our CEO, he was in the back the whole time. He actually was dancing like a lot and like took his tie off. And I didn't see it because I was facing the screen, but evidently it was a thing. It was quite a thing.
Dan knows how to celebrate too.
I guess, which is cool.
That's awesome. So it sounds like it's a lot of fun to break down barriers, maybe?
Fun is, I think, fun is a common ground thing. Mm-hmm. We don't have enough fun. You need to seek out fun and clean, awesome ways. But it is a way. If we did all that and invited kids in and they sat down and I said, all right, I'm gonna tell you a story from the Bible, they'd be like, whoa, easy. It's just a way to laugh together. We're having fun. A lot of the time, the reason why we do games is so kids can get cheered for. Every time a kid comes up on stage, I do this. It's stupid, but I do it every time. I'm like, hi, my name's Steve. What's your name? It's a fake microphone. I don't have a microphone. And then they say their name, and then everybody cheers for them, which is awesome. I mean, even as adults, who doesn't like being cheered for? So it is a way to just relax, have fun, have common things happen together. We all had fun. Now let's listen to a story from the Bible together. So.
It's very cool. And you may have answered this a little bit, but participation in any sort of faith-based or spiritual activity at Wedgwood is optional for kids in our residential program. But we typically see pretty high attendance for things like loved and devotions. Aside from the fun, why do you think kids are drawn to checking these things out?
Part of it, which I'm very happy about, is staff support of what we're trying to do here in Chaplaincy. Is staff are getting the kids here. They are so important in what's going on around here that if they're not in support of it, then we have a lot of work to do to get them to. But they have been bringing kids. I was so happy the first couple times just doing some chaplain activities before Love started. It's post-COVID, during when we started to be able to get together a little bit, it was still, this kid was sick and there's still chaplain stuff just wasn't happening a lot because of COVID. That now it's one of the main things is staff support. I tried to tell people about this and why we're doing it and the reason behind it and the philosophy, the mission, all that stuff to get them to go, you know what, this is important to the kids. But I would say there are a lot of kids around here that really do want to grow spiritually, really do want to make a change in their life and try to figure things out. But they're also, you mentioned, besides the fun thing, there's a reason why we have fun. So it is attractive. There's a reason why we have smiley, high-fiving people at the door. So if you can create an environment where kids feel loved, I feel like there should be a ding when I say that. Then it's attractive. Who doesn't want to be loved? So if you can build that environment, hopefully kids are going to come.
It sounds like there's just a lot of healthy community building happening here at Wedgwood so kids can experience good, healthy community and relationships.
That's the we are loved part of it, is to get an identity of this is our thing. And so far it's working. It's just the beginning, but I'm really excited to see where it goes. We have a next step coming up. We have Love next week, and then the week after we're doing the Bible project. Excuse me. I've been telling the kids about this. It's if you have questions, if you want to grow, if you just want to learn a little more, that's the spot.
So we have a variety of chaplaincy activities for kids, including devotions on the unit and opportunity for them to go off campus to church services. Why do you think having a youth group specifically is so important for the kids in residential?
Because a lot of that is staff driven as well. If a staff person at a particular home is connected at a church, loves their church, they're going to bring their kids to church. That's not the case in every home. They may not have got a fit as far culturally or whatever for their particular population in their home. So any of that is amazing. Anything that's done not only at a church or in devotions or even just praying before a meal, praying at the end of a house meeting at the beginning of the day. But different staff bring it happens in one-on-ones. It happens individually all over campus. I know I love the Loved event, but I also love on Friday mornings cooking breakfast sandwiches for one of the homes and just hanging out and eating with them.
Mm-hmm.
And being at the house meeting at another home. And just last Friday, a kid really just wanted to see my office. So we made an appointment. He was so excited about seeing my office. We made an appointment to see my office. We did some errands around here. He helped me out. And then on the way back, I asked the staff before I left, like, can he go off grounds? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, hey, are you hungry? And so we went to McDonald's, went to the drive-thru, got food, and sat here and ate breakfast. And that's all part of love too. It's if you don't have a relationship with them, you can say whatever at the actual event, and they're not going to really listen because they don't know you.
Yeah.
But if you get to know them, and that's just all part of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned earlier that you did something with the kids regarding the Lord's Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that activity was?
Yes, that was this summer, and the Lord's Prayer is not something I grew up with. In my particular, that's weird to say, but in my church, we did not recite that every week.
Mm-hmm.
The last church I was a pastor at, we did. So every Sunday, that was part of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
3 times every Sunday, I would say that with a congregation of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it really started to grow on me, which is, again, weird to say, because when Jesus, in the Sermon on the Mount, which is a big deal, we point to the Sermon on the Mount all the time, when he says, this then is how we should pray.
You should probably follow Jesus' instructions.
Maybe pay attention
right.
to that. And as I looked at it and studied it, and there's 5 distinct parts of the Lord's Prayer, and I thought it would be cool to go through that with the kids, and then have them okay, we got the first part there, which is all about praising God, giving God his due. How would you say that? I asked the kids, and we had a whiteboard and everything. And then we went to the next part. The next part is thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's prayers for a better world. We want our world to look like heaven. So how would you say that? And just went through and wrote this really beautiful prayer that I have. It should be called the W version something, Wedgwood. That's the version that I use when I pray.
WCS translation.
There you go. That I use in my life every morning, every night. That's the prayer I pray. Just it's a little special to me because I did it together with the kids. But it was really cool to see what they said, especially this population of kids who have dealt with a lot of trauma, what they would say about it. And it turned out beautiful.
That's awesome. Would you be able to read the kids' version of the Lord's Prayer for us?
I would be able to potentially just say it and hopefully not mess it up.
Okay.
I have it somewhere in the office here.
I think it's over there.
I'm not going to look at it.
Okay.
It is, Our Heavenly Father, you are awesome and are extravagant with your love. Bless this planet to be a place where there is no hate, violence, or hunger like your place in heaven. Give us what we need over what we want. Help us to forgive and be forgiven. Help us to rise above negativity and stay away from things that hurt us or others. Amen. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
I love the prayer.
That's so awesome. I love the "you are extravagant with your love" line. I just feel like that so well encompasses not only who God is, but how we aim to care for kids and our staff and even our donors and community supporters. How have you seen extravagant love here at Wedgwood?
I see it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
One specific thing was a couple weeks ago, we had a talent show
Mm-hmm.
that the activity therapist department put on. They didn't have to do that. It's a lot of work. You have to there's a deadline of kids that have
Mm-hmm.
to get in. Everybody has background music or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a risk to get everybody in the same room and have kids get up and do whatever the song, a dance,
Mm-hmm.
and poetry. But just putting the event on for kids to be able to shine like that, to me, is extravagant love. But they asked me to MC the event, which I was like, yes. Yes. And it was absolutely beautiful. And the beautiful parts were kids sharing their pain through poems or songs. And like if there would be a pause in the song, other kids in the audience saying, you can do it, you can, and just encouraging them, and staff just being so proud of their kids, which was it's really cool to see. There were teachers there. This was at 6:30 at night. There were teachers there that did not need to be there, didn't have to be there, weren't being paid to be there.
Yeah.
And seeing them just supporting the kids here and cheering for them was amazing. The thing that I get nervous about as an MC, and kids they never disappoint in this, is, will they cheer enough because these kids are putting themselves out there, and they do, and it's fantastic. And it was an awesome night of dances and songs and everything. And, that probably, as far as the acts, probably wouldn't have been on America's Next Talent or whatever. But it was amazing, and everyone was cheered for, and it was fantastic. And the whole evening was just like that. Was extravagant love. A bunch of kids feeling love for what they do, putting themselves out there. I see extravagant love in different departments around here. The occupational therapy department, Amy does just an amazing job of not just doing stuff with kids, but loving them while making macaroni and cheese, or while doing different projects that they do that really do help the kids, which is extravagant love, seeing a need and helping them with that. The ETP, employment training program, that to me is to give them tools like that, everything from the interview process to checking in, time cards and feedback that's something that you take when you're out of here, and it helps your life. And that to me is fantastic. Just last week, these kids got so much candy. The teachers did a trick-or-treat thing in the gym. Me and Pastor Arlen were ketchup and mustard. We dressed up as ketchup and mustard. It was great. And just different tables, and kids would come through and get candy, and they were just so happy. And then Wedgwood, the whole agency, did a trunk or treat thing last week. And just these things that you don't have to do, that are done around here for the kids, is extravagant love. The amount of volunteers that I got to do love to me that were like, I was straight with them. This is what love's about. This is what, and they're like, yep, I'll do it. And we have too many people that volunteer. There's, it's their own time, that volunteer to love kids.
Mm-hmm.
Not only just to have fun with them, but that kids can hear about the amazing, crazy love of God. There's extravagant love all over.
Yes.
All over the place.
Yeah. We loved because he first loved us, right? Yep. What's one thing you want to make sure our listeners know about Wedgwood?
I have a lot of things, so I'm trying to choose one. The one thing, I think there is a perception that Wedgwood is a place where kids who broke the law go, which may have happened. But mostly it's kids that have been exploited, kids who don't have family, kids who have been exposed or experienced trauma. If we were 50, 80 years ago, it would be called an orphanage. But we just don't use that term anymore. And it's not just a place where we house kids until they're no longer a danger or something. It's just not. I think there's a perception of like, oh, it's juvie-lite or something. Yeah, but it's not. There's so many. It's even hard like to get a block of time to do loved, because they're so busy doing really good things that help them. It's not. We're not just housing kids here until now these are kids who need to be loved, who have unfortunately not seen a lot of love or felt a lot of love, and they're getting it here until they find a better place to be. And all the services that we provide them, which makes their days a little, there's chill time too, but makes their days a little busy. And it's all stuff that'll help them when they are out somewhere else. So that's what I think the first time I worked at Wedgwood, I didn't get that part. It was like, they didn't do well in school or they broke the law or something. But it's just, there's so much trauma or lack of adults in their life, and there's nowhere for them to be. No safe place for them to be. And that's here.
All of the trauma and things that they've experienced. I think I read somewhere it's 97% of the kids in our residential program have experienced abuse or neglect. All of that's happened to them. There's been like a domino effect of how it's impacted their life and maybe impacted their choices and behavior. But still at the core of it, they're a hurt child.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's a good thing that they can learn that they are loved here. Well, Steve, thanks so much for this coffee break conversation. It is always a joy to talk to you about the fun but super important work that you and our chaplaincy team do every day. Your heart for kids and families is apparent and very appreciated.